Bloodsport, Enter the Dragon, The Karate Kid. These are all movies I have not seen. They're also all fiction. However, there is a family from Brazil that is the closest living thing to any martial arts movie. Enter the Gracie family. The legend of the Gracie family begins with Helio Gracie and his 9 children. His 9 children are Hoyce, Hickson, Horian, Hoyler, Helson, Holker, Herica, Haben, and Hitchie. All their names start with R, and all of whom are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts under their father Helio. In 1914, Helio Gracie met with a Japanese judoka from Japan by the name of Isai Maeda. Isai was a direct student from Kano, and Kano is the head instructor at the Kodokan in Japan. And anybody who knows anything about judo knows that the Kodokan is one of the most respected dojos in the world. I just want to talk about the difference between judo, Japanese jiu-jitsu, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and Gracie jiu-jitsu. So Japanese jiu-jitsu and judo are very similar into where they're both like designed to be used on like by samurais if they had no swords. So there's a lot of like disarming techniques specifically in Japanese jiu-jitsu, and ways to like put people on the ground and kill them within that movement. Where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is much more like a sport, and it's gentler, and it's much easier to practice. It's easier on your body, and the goal is not to kill. It's more to defend yourself and to control the situation. And Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is actually like a select few techniques, or not few, but a bunch of techniques from all the martial arts designed for self-defense. It's almost the same thing as Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but they just use it as a marketing thing mostly. So in 1951 was the biggest moment of the biggest match of Helio Gracie's competitive career. He fought a Japanese Jiu-Jitsu fighter by the name of Kimura. This was a challenge match held in the Maracana Stadium with over 200,000 people in attendance. And for those who don't know, the Maracana Stadium is a soccer stadium. Here's a quick clip from the fight.
Survival. And 3 or 4 minutes into the second round, his specialty, survival. He couldn't finish my grandfather. Which way you can imagine, like a rag doll. He's just too strong. But he couldn't finish my grandfather. He would go for the submission like grandfather would defend. And was his specialty, survival. And 3 or 4 minutes into the second round, my grandfather, of course, now is getting more exhausted. Kimura finally was able to capture my grandfather in a shoulder lock, which now bears his name, Kimura. And my grandfather, stubborn as he was, didn't want to tap out. Carlos, the older brother and manager figure, threw in the towel and forfeited the match to the Japanese champ. Speaking to my grandfather much later about the fight, I say, Grandpa, what did you think going into the fight? What was your mindset? He said, Henry, I never expected to beat this Japanese champ. I knew he was the best Japanese jiu-jitsu fighter in the world, and if I was going to truly believe in what I do, I had to at least test it against that person and give him the opportunity. So he knew he was going to lose in front of his whole country, but he still engaged. And that's the definition of a warrior. That's the definition of a fighter. That's the definition of a modern-day samurai.
So that was one of the biggest moments of the Gracies in their legacy. Next, I want to talk about one of Helio's sons, Hickson. At just 18 years old, Hickson received his black belt from his father, and Hickson is considered to be the most elite competitor as far as the Gracies go. He's allegedly, or the legend is, he's 400-0 in challenge matches. Challenge matches meaning the Gracies would post just in like local newspapers in Brazil. They'd be like, seeking martial artists, anybody who thinks they know how to fight, like, come fight us. And so people would show up and they would record these matches and use it as an advertisement for Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And the 400-0 may or may not be true, depends who you ask. So, but he is professionally 11-0 in organized competition, so he is undefeated. The last Gracie member I want to talk about is Hoyce Gracie. And most people know of the UFC, and in 1993 was UFC 1. Hoyce Gracie was the UFC 1 champion. It was an 8-man tournament, meaning he had to win 3 fights in one night. And the different styles that were featured were savate, sumo, kickboxing, karate, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, shoot fighting, and Taekwondo. Hoist was also the UFC 2 champion. He got second place in UFC 3, and he was the UFC 4 champion. He ended up retiring 15, 2, and 3 professionally, and in 2003 he was inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. There's plenty of fantasy in fighting, and the Gracies are definitely controversial, but love them or hate them, you have to respect their legacy and willingness to test themselves.